Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures, and today we're doing another episode of our Jurassic World Evolution Spotlight, but we're starting off a new series, of course, because this is the Jurassic World Evolution 3, so we're doing Jurassic World Evolution 3. This is the first group in our little spotlights there, which I'm actually quite excited to get stuck into. So, we're going to be comparing all these, animals to their real-life fossil counterparts and all that. That's all cool, a typical introduction there. But I'm really excited to get... there's actually quite a few good mods coming out for Jurassic World Evolution 3. We've got our first new species starting to come out as well. I'm actually really excited to see how that will progress with the game and changes and all that. I will just say a bit of housekeeping as well. Like, I'm not going to stop doing Jurassic World Evolution 2 yet. There's still people making mods for that. So, of course, I'll keep on with that as that comes out. It's definitely slowed down a bit, but I'm definitely going to be doing some mods for this one here, because there's some really cool mods coming out. Master Doot and Noah and a few other modders have migrated, you could say. So yeah, quite excited to get stuck in this one, and I will not really be covering the juveniles as of right now, because to do all the editing to make them, to go look at the babies and stuff like that, that'd be a little bit too much work at the moment. We'll just stick with the standard format until we get the juveniles coming out of hatcheries, or we can have them naturally come out of the nest. I think that'd be really helpful. So, yeah, I think that is housekeeping done. First up, we're going to be looking at Sinoceratops. So this is a really cool one. I know we all we all kind of detest the Jurassic Park Sinoceratops for what they did to my boy. But I gotta say, at least they fixed the dimorphism Noah Waller did. So these mods and the next 4 mods are all done by Noah Waller, by the way. The original, like, things with the Pseudoceratops and the Sinoceratops, how they did it was basically they took the mod and took the female as the base game one and made it the male, and then just made the female one smaller, which is kind of sad. But these guys, they managed to do that here and made the males have bigger. And it's cool that we can actually have sexual dimorphism in the game now. But yeah, you can see what's really cool. They've got the costals up there, going up down there. And I really love how they curve forward, like in Sinoceratops in real life. It looks really cool. Really got rid of those holes in the fenestrae, which was very, very weird. They didn't have holes, it was all covered by skin, unless it was injured. And, they really fixed up that skull, gave it a bigger horns, and, bigger brown horn and all that. Make it actually look like the Sinoceratops fossil material. And they changed the body as well, made it much more taller back, more rounded to make it look like a typical ceratopsian body. And I've got to say, it looks really, really nice, and all the updates make it look quite good. Looks pretty spot on. Only issue I have is the toes, but of course, the 4th and 5th digit typically would not have, nails, but that's a texture thing, not a model thing. But yeah, it looks really, really cool. Looks pretty spot on, if I do say so myself. Looks really, really good. Alright, so we're going to let them go off and do their own thing. And of course, one of the ugliest original ones from Fallen Kingdom got a bit of a glow up by Noah Waller, and Noah Waller will be giving us a Baryonyx. So this is the male here. You can see he's got the bigger crest out of the girls. Oh, we've got 2 males and a female. 2 males, so there we go. We'll have a look at you, because you look quite interesting pose there. I might just give you a little bit of time to sort yourself out. There you go. So, we've got 2 males and a female, so you can see this is the male. He's got the much bigger crest on the top there, and the female's got the smaller crest. Typical sexual dimorphism. But what's really cool, they managed to actually fix it up. They got rid of the bloody alligator-looking skull it had, and this one is actually better representative of Baryonyx itself. It's got that very, very long, thin snout, and it's got that big notch there, Very characteristic of Spinosaurids and Baryonyx in particular. Got a much longer, thinner neck as well, and I really like they gave it big arms, because for some reason they gave it small arms in Fallen Kingdom, when in reality it had really big arms. I think they just wanted to make another T-Rex or something. They just create their own design. It's a bit weird. But yeah, really, really nice body. Really gives it that nice arch, the kind of classic Spinosaurid look. Really nice legs as well. And they made the tail a bit longer, because for some reason, Jurassic Park, they always like to make the tails too short. But yeah, really, really cool one. And I'm actually really happy as well that he kept the kind of alligator crocodile skin, because I don't think we have much from Spinosaurids in terms of their skin impressions. But yeah, still a really, really cool mod. I'm really happy with that. And you know, we have so many dinosaur skins these days, and they sometimes do turn out to look a bit samey. So I'm really hoping that as we learn more and more, we realise there's a lot of scale diversity, especially with you know, how diverse scales are in lizards today. So I think that's really, really cool. And then you can compare it to the female over here. Really, really awesome job, Noah. Definitely a top 10. Definitely top quality. Alright, so next up, we have got Allosaurus.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome an Allosaurus to the park.
There we go. This is one should we pick. I really like how he's posing there. So this is obviously modelled off the big Battle of Big Rock Allosaurus, or the normal, you know, the new Allosaurus, not the Frontier one. But I gotta say, I really love the textures on it, and they've really done it. Now, while it's done a great effort on giving it a nice, accurate Allosaurus head, very Fragilis. Looks very much like Fragilis. Much more taller, boxier skull in comparison. So I think the ones in Jurassic Park definitely have a much more, almost like conical skull, but these guys have got a really tall skull, a really tall, thin skull. Very characteristic of Allosaurids. And I really love the extra keratin that they put on the crest there. Really makes it stand out. And it doesn't have lips, but it's still really, really cool. I'm a big fan. Really, really awesome there. You move it down here, much more accurate anatomy. Nice big arms. Allosaurus does have quite big arms and claws. You know, people often underestimate the keratin, so I'm pretty sure he added more. No, Wallace pretty good with judging that on animals. Just a general good modder as well. Nice big body. Nice feet. I really like how they did the feet. Looks really nice. And, again, longer tails. As we keep going on about, Jurassic Park likes to make their dinosaurs' tails too short. And the female doesn't have quite a big crest. You can see little male and female. So it's cool that we can actually finally do that sexual dimorphism. So the female's got a little bit more of a smaller crest. That male's got an enormous crest. Looks bloody cool. Definitely a big fan of that. Really, really cool. Alright, we'll leave you to it. Oh, that's sitting here all the way over here. That's alright. Really, really awesome No Waller mod. So you run off and do your thing. Next up, for the last of our No Waller mods, we have got Giganotosaurus. And for some reason, it wouldn't let me do both variants at the same time. So we'll release the male and the female and then talk about both of them.
We are pleased to welcome a Giganotosaurus to the park.
So let's have a look at the male. Where is he? There he is. Aren't you impressive? So, you can see some definitely big changes from the Dominion Giganotosaurus. Much more accurate skull. The Frontier one, it is accurate, but it's very 90s, because some of the older reconstructions of Giganotosaurus gave it a very long skull, and that's been rectified quite a bit with this version, which is a much more modern interpretation of Giganotosaurus. Still quite a long, thin skull, but not quite as long as the Giganotosaurus in the original one in the game. The Frontier version, we'll typically say. I know, so I really love this texture and, you know, the scales as well. So yeah, came out really, really well. Definitely a big fan. Covered that anatomy quite well. Looks really, really nice. And then you've got here, so you see you've got the long spines. So this is a male feature. You can see on the female over there, she hasn't got nearly as big spines. But I like that. And they kept the texture, as mentioned, I really love that they kept the texture. Really makes it a little bit more interesting in my opinion. Definitely a nice, thing there. Got the 3-finger claws there. Giganotosaurus and a lot of those larger Giganotosaurids were getting smaller arms as well. They didn't have, they weren't T-Rex small, but they were definitely getting a lot smaller. Nice big body, nice long legs, and definitely a longer tail, because as I mentioned, Jurassic Park likes to make their tails too short. So that's the male. We'll have a look at the female over here. And she's pretty. So you can see she's definitely got not quite as big crests as the male. Still really nice body there though. Fits in quite well. I really like how that's come out like that. Even if you just don't want to worry about the big crest, you can just put a bunch of females in. I gotta say, I really like, even like the basic version looks quite nice. I like the different textures, because I think that's the one thing that's kind of lacking in paleo art a little bit, is that now, yeah, they don't have quite the scale diversity that they probably should, because in reality they probably would. People just being a bit too anti-speculation, but I think as well, often, most dinosaur fossils have got very small scales, and there's some with feature scales and stuff like that. But people need to experiment a little bit more. Why not? I'm very much a big proponent of making sure everyone tries something different with their dinosaurs, large feature scales and stuff like that. And I'm going to say this is a really cool design, definitely a big fan. Alright, so I'll leave you to it. So these last 4 mods, the Sinoceratops, the Baryonyx, the Allosaurus, and the Giganotosaurus, all done by Nowaller. Next 4 are done by Master Doot. So we're going to have a look first. We've got Albertosaurus. So this one has got like 2 versions, and the male is only this one, or the Trespasser one. The female has all the different skins, and I have to say, if you know JPOG fans, this actually translated quite well into the game. But you can see here there is some difference in the males and the females. You can see the male's got the bigger crest there, and a bit more spikes along the ridge, and the female's a little bit more toned back in that regard, which is still quite cool, Typical kind of in nature. The male tends to have a bit more display features. But you can see it's definitely changed a lot from the Frontier design. A lot more thinner, a little bit more kickback, a lot more thin. Doesn't have these enormous brow ridges. Looks a little bit more accurate and really looks like Albertosaurus, which is really cool. Master Doot's a real good master of blending that, realism with those extras, making it look a bit actually fit in Jurassic Park. So yeah, pretty spot on. Nice crest there, but nice S-shaped neck. Those big bulky arms, long legs. This was actually quite a lean Tyrannosaur, and a longer tail. As I keep mentioning, they have a lot longer tail than we give them credit for. It looks really, really nice. And I gotta say, really cool. I especially love the design on this one. I love the colours on the female, and the texture. I'm pretty sure it's new textures as well. The textures look really, really nice. Definitely a big fan. So that is Albertosaurus. It looks much more like Albertosaurus should look. So let you run off and do your thing. So next up we have got another Allosaurus done by Master Doot. But this is kind of a 2-in-1, as I'll get into. So let's have a look at this one. Let's have a look at you. Aren't you pretty? Oh, keep doing that. Hate that. Alright, so this is Allosaurus again, but this is actually a particular species, and you can see it's got the walking with dinosaur skin for 2 reasons, as I'll get into. So, this is Allosaurus Jimsoni. So there's 4 different species of Allosaurus. You've got Allosaurus fragilis, which was likely the one that Master Doot made. Also, you've got Allosaurus europus, which is pretty much the European species. You got Allosaurus anax, which was formerly Saurophaganax, and then now we've got Allosaurus Jimsoni here, and there is a reason why it's got these colours, as I'll explain. So, in 2000, Daniel Churi described the specimen that is this guy in his PhD thesis, and argued that it actually represented a new species of Allosaurus, which he named Allosaurus Jimsoni. However, as the thesis did not actually meet the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature, or the ICZN, it remained as invalid as a nomen nubium, or a naked name, until Curry and Mark Lowen actually formally described the specimen in species in 2020. So it took them 20 years to get it formally described, which is quite funny. So the authors assigned several other specimens to Allosaurus Jimsoni, including the original big owl specimen, the one that got beat up, has got all those injuries. And the name Jimsoni honors Madsen and his contribution to the taxonomy of the genus, particularly his 1976 work. So the reason, it's got the skull, Jimsoni has a very distinctive, almost like a long skull. You can really tell it's Jimsoni. Very, very cool look on this guy. I really love the scale work as well. It came out really nice. So that skull is very Jimsoni. Extra bit of crest as well. I love the little spikes there as well. Came out really good. We can see as well, because Ballad of Big Owl was a Jimsoni, so Walking with Dinosaurs color is kind of Jimsoni, so it looks really, really nice. And I think excuse to have the Walking with Dinosaurs color on them as well. So the cosmetics as well, there is a bit of issues with the cosmetics and stuff like that. This is only a female. As I mentioned with the Albertosaurus, is that the female has all the different colors and the male is the Trespasser or the Operation Genesis skin. So there needs to be some work by Frontier, not the modders, by Frontier, to kind of sort out different skins. Because that's one of my big main issues with the game, is that a lot of the skins are just female skins, and you don't have a variant, something that should be a variant like the Dominion Parasaurolophus. You don't have a male version of that. So, you can't, if you want to have a breeding herd, you have to have different variants, or different, because they're skins, but they're technically different variants. So I think there needs to be a lot of sorting on that front to kind of all get that organised. But that's not a modding problem, that's a Frontier problem, and hopefully that'll be sorted by the time the next DLC comes out. So yeah, definitely a big fan. So we'll let you run off and do your thing. Another Master Doot banger. I do love a Master Doot banger. So second to last, not the last, we have got another really cool mod. This is one we always love, because Dilophosaurus got done so dirty. But let's have a look at this mod for Dilophosaurus. So this is a new cosmetic, and yes, it does not replace the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus, but this makes it a much more accurate to what we know. So Dilophosaurus has gone through, even at the time, Dilophosaurus was known to be quite large, but in 2020, or sometime around there, we actually found that Dilophosaurus was a much different dinosaur than we envisioned it. And it was a lot more robust, and it came with a big monograph and stuff like that to take a look at it. So you can see it's got this very, very long skull with a notch in there, almost very megalosaurid in there, or Spinosaurid, very notched in there, big teeth. These big kind of double, I'll call them casks. They think they were covered in keratin and, could have been for display. Looks really, really cool. So it's very much accurate to what we know of Dilophosaurus. I like how the skin's transition still they quite well to it. A little bit extra spikes for some fun. Nice big dewlap as well. Looks quite nice. And you can see much bigger animal. The one in the movie, is only a couple meters long. These guys got up to about 6 or 7 meters long. Quite big animals, kind of the biggest predators of the early Jurassic. And I like these, you can see we got the dimorphism in the male and female. So the male's got the much larger casks, and the female's got the smaller one. He's also got some spikes down his back to make it a little bit different. You can see much more bigger, rounder body, much bigger arms as well. They've actually got, have they got the 4? I think they still had the 3. There might have been in the process of losing that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, we've got really, really cool, nice big legs and nice long tail, as I keep mentioning. Jurassic Park likes to make the tails too small. And then you got here, you know, the other head as well. Came out really, really nice. So let you run off and do your thing. Do your thing. So next up, Master Doot as well, but this is our first non-cosmetic or remaster or anything. This is actually a new species. This is Barosaurus. So I'm going to release the male, the female, then the male, and then we're going to talk about them. I'll let her walk out a bit. Beautiful animal. Get out of the way for your husband. Oh, of course she has to go have a sleep there. That's right. Alright, there we can see the pair of them. How cute. Unless you're going to interact together. They're walking inside each other at the moment. They're probably lining up to do their socials. We'll let them do their social, why not? What are you doing over there, mate? Look, they're going to do their socials. Pretty. There you go. There's a nice pose for you. Beautiful animal. You can see the difference between the male and the female. The male's got this huge dewlap going down there and lots of large spikes. I really like how that came out on the Barosaurus. I like that sexual dimorphism. And the female, of course, is a lot more plain, which I don't mind. And I like that you can actually shows off the long neck and the long tail of Barosaurus. As we'll get into, Barosaurus is definitely a very interesting dinosaur. I've talked about it a couple times, so it's really nice to actually see it finally in the game. I gotta say, I'm really happy to see it. So this is Barosaurus. So Barosaurus is a giant sauropod, or a genus of sauropod, from the Morrison Formation. It is a diplodocid, so it's related to Diplodocus. And its name means in Latin, heavy lizard. So most specimens that are actually known from this guy are actually not that large. I mean, they're still huge, but not that large. Some adults measure about 25 to 27 meters, or about 82 to 80 feet long, and weigh about 12 to 20 tons. And the tail is estimated to be about half the body length. So what separates Barosaurus and other diplodocids is that Diplodocus has a really, really long tail. Barosaurus has a very, very long neck, and they tend up to be equal in length, so they've got an equally long neck and tail. But what really makes this guy interesting is some of the claims about it, because it's claimed to be the longest dinosaur of all time. Not the heaviest, but the longest. So, the reason it's kind of got that name, so Mike Taylor, who is a sauropod paleontologist, found a vertebrae that's about 1.37 meters, or about 4.5 feet long. It's called vertebrae BYU 9024. It was previously identified as Supersaurus, but it may actually belong to Barosaurus. Supersaurus had a very long neck in comparison to other diplodocids. So this changes its interpretation. He suspected that, as it is Barosaurus, and looking at where it placed in the neck, it would estimate the animal would be about 48 meters long, or 157 feet long, and about 66 tons, which would make it one of the largest dinosaurs known, and would have a neck length of 15 meters, which is as long as the largest Mamenchisaurid necks. So a very interesting animal. There has been some estimates in 2020. There's an estimate that put it at like 45 meters and 60 tons, but still that's a very long animal. However, there has been some doubt. Research presented by Brian Cutty at the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology actually supported that there was actually, no, this is not a Barosaurus, this is Supersaurus. And despite this, there's actually other specimens that do back up Barosaurus being this large. There was one of these specimens. There's actually 3 cervical vertebrae. So cervical vertebrae is kind of, you got your lumbar, not lumbar. So cervical vertebrae, there's 3 cervical vertebrae, and the third vertebrae is about 1,110 millimeters, or basically 1.2 meters in length, so quite large. And when Dr. Mike Taylor and Matt Whittle compared the bones to the same bones in smaller specimens of Barosaurus, the estimated length was between 12 and 15 meters. And that would still make it one of the longest necks. And then they estimate the body length from there. That would be about 40 meters. So they used different specimens, and they got to the same kind of roundabout point. So they were all neck vertebrae. So they're like, okay, now. So we got so even if that doesn't count, there's still evidence of a 40 meter long Barosaurus. So it kind of worked out. Barosaurus was actually quite a bit differently proportioned than, as I mentioned, Diplodocus. It had a much longer neck and a shorter tail. Though it's basically its neck and it was about the same length as well. So it had a longer neck, shorter tail, but they were kind of more equal in length. So we do have a Barosaurus skull, and they had very similar skulls to Diplodocus. Long skull that would have had peg-like teeth for finding food. And yeah, it's got very different vertebrae, which kind of how you can tell the difference between them. And what's really cool is this does have accurate feet. So other than the extra toe there, that would be the toot spot on. Looks really, really cool. And you got the proper horseshoe kind of flesh foot. That's because it was all, I mentioned, based on Parallatitan. But yeah, it came out really, really well. Definitely a big fan of how this guy came out. Absolutely beautiful. We'll have a look at the female for a little bit, because she's quite pretty too. And I actually kind of like a bit more of the basic look she has. Looks really, really cool. It's a really nice picture, actually, like that one. So, in terms of classification, it is a diplodocid, so related to Diplodocus. Its closest relatives itself are Diplodocus and Catodocus as well. And this was first discovered, it is from the Morrison Formation, and was discovered by Miss Isabella R. Ellerman, postmistress of Postville, and was then excavated by Othniel Charles Marsh and John Bell Hatcher of Yale University in 1889. Only 6 tail vertebrae were recovered, and called it Marchosaurus as well, and lentis, which means slow, so the slow heavy lizard. But there's been a lot more specimens. Actually, Barosaurus is actually known quite well compared to a lot of other dinosaurs. There's quite a few specimens. The most complete specimen of lentis is the one that you can see rearing up on its back legs in the Carnegie Museum. So it is quite well known as well, and more recent vertebrae and all that stuff. And it was actually, for a point, kind of drawn more like a Brachiosaurus rather than a Diplodocid, which we know what it was, which is quite interesting as well. But yeah, not too different in most other respects, other than just being absolutely enormous. And paleoecology, as I mentioned, it is from the Morrison Formation, so I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with the Morrison Formation. Dates to about 155 to 148 million years ago, with Barosaurus specimens about 150 million years old, so somewhere in the middle. And would have lived with lots of very interesting animals, such as Camarasaurus, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Saurophaganax, which is now Allosaurus, Torvosaurus, and all sorts of different other small animals. A very rich environment, and the habitat it was sort of living in the late Jurassic, there was quite high temperatures, so lots and lots of, it was believed to be also seasonal rainfall as well, so very interesting place that it would have lived. But yeah, really cool animal, definitely big fan. So really nice to see these guys coming in. So yeah, I'll let you run off and do your thing. I just say, finally love getting a Barosaurus in the game. Really cool. Then we just need a Manapurosaurus. I think that'd be quite cool. But yeah, I think that's a great place to end the video. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. No, I can't do that yet. I actually got to thank everyone. I got to thank Master Doot for making all those cosmetics and the Barosaurus, and thank you Nawala for all these lovely cosmetic new remasters to the dinosaurs as well. So really awesome there. Again, I think there is some issues with the cosmetics. That's an issue for Frontier and stuff like that, but we'll get that sorted. And hopefully next update we can release babies from the hatchery or the nests, so we can actually have a look at the babies as well. So we'll do that another time. And plus, I mean, these new species, not really much new in terms of new species yet anyway. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like and subscribe, always remember to hit little bell icons to get notified about anything. See if you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.